Welcome back to episode 4 of Overserved. Who would have thought we'd make it this far, but we're doing a hell of a job, at least I think. Rachel, what do you think so far? How's Overserved been?
I've loved it. I've had the best time doing Overserved with you, and it's been fun discussing all the trending topics and pop culture within the sport of tennis. It's been great.
The one thing I do have to say, you did compliment me on it off camera last week, but my Alcaraz buzz cut haircut, I didn't get one on camera. I need it on camera so everybody could hear. For those that have been watching a couple of weeks ago, it was kind of a little bit of a transformation, cut it all off. Rachel did say something about it last week. It was off camera. I need more of a morale self boost, so I just want everybody else to hear it. Rachel, tell me it looks decent. Tell me I look like
It does. It does. I'm surprised with how fast it's growing back. I did not know that it was inspired by Alcaraz. We could say that that is the Alcaraz effect. You guys are going to start seeing the Alcaraz haircut on a lot of different fans out there, I think.
It's like I don't know if he has powers with it or what, but when he lets his hair grow out and it's not like super fresh tape up or a fresh fade, it actually he like plays his best. Well, he always plays his best. I mean, he just cut it and just won another tournament, one of the exhibitions coming up last week. But yeah, guys, back to Overserved. No more. Getting to the point. Newport, a lot going on in tennis right now. It's a big week in Newport. We're getting kind of to the stretch where there's a few U.S. tournaments, which is really exciting. The U.S. players love playing in it. Some bigger crowds. Even at some events like Newport, it was at 250, and kind of just watching it, there was a lot of excitement, a lot of energy going on.
Yeah, especially around this kid, Alex Michelsen. I mean, where did he come from? He's only 18 years old, and he made it to the finals of this ATP 250. He had some huge wins, a win against Mackenzie McDonald, Maxime Cressy, and then John Isner, which ironically, so John Isner is 20 years older than him. John played at the University of Georgia. Michelsen is committed to Georgia. But you got to wonder, do you think that he's still going to go to Georgia after he made it to the finals of that event? Like, did he get enough taste of the tour and he saw the success he could have? And now is he just going to be like, forget Georgia, I'm going to the tour?
Yeah, no, these young guys amaze me because I think back to myself, and at the age of 18, I was playing 3 football, so definitely not in that category. So the fact that it was like struggling to play Division 3 football, and then you have these 18-year-olds who he's not even in college yet. He's committed to Georgia. Thinking about obviously now at that point where he sees he could compete with, some big name guys, Cressy, who's usually a top 100 guy, McDonald, who's been a top 50 guy, and Isner, who obviously has just been doing it for years and years. So you get to the point now where he's like, what do I do? Which is today he actually just played in Atlanta, played Cressy again, didn't have the same success, ended up losing that match in 2 sets. But at the same time, you see the kid can hang, and not only hang, I mean, it looked very dominant at some points.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw some glimpses of Rolex Paris Masters last year, Holger Rune, who had just like 5 insane wins to win that championship. Maybe Michelsen's, wasn't as quite high level as Holger's, but I definitely saw that glimpse of just a great player and like the beginning of just a player taking off in their career.
Yeah, definitely. And he's Michelsen's a Cali kid, and he just has that Cali swag where he carries himself on court. Just he looks like he knows what he's doing for an 18-year-old kid. Doesn't look like he's been there just for the first time now. Looks like he's been doing it for years. So it'll be a really interesting decision. You just don't know in the sense it's an interesting decision because he'll have to probably, like we talked about, it's challenging playing those challengers and have to go through qualifying, and it's you got to do a little bit more. Not the most prestigious life, but then again, he'll be playing some unreal competition, keep earning points towards his ranking, and really get his professional career started. So over the next couple of weeks, or we're in August already, so a decision will have to be made relatively soon. So will be really interesting to see.
Yeah, seriously. And maybe he does go to Georgia, but like just for a year. Like we've seen Brandon Nakashima and a couple other players, they just do that 1 year of college, get that experience, and like get that kind of, I guess, social experience as well. Maybe he gives it just a year and then, goes back on tour. Who knows? But yeah, it's like, isn't the US Open like during classes? Like he's still got tournaments to play. Like his classes are going to be starting, but he's going to be on tour.
And I wouldn't blame him too. I'm a college football guy, so he might just want to hang back, go to a couple frat parties, go to a couple Bulldog games. He might just want to enjoy the college atmosphere, lifestyle for a little bit. College tennis is really exciting. It's more of that, at least high speed, cheering, louder atmosphere. It could be exciting in the sense, more exciting than going to play in some of these challengers where there's 10 people watching. even though it might be better for a career or, either way, there's pros and cons to each. But like we said, it'll be really exciting to get into it. Also, this past week, not only was Newport going on, had some other tournaments going on all around the world, some big wins getting in. Pedro Cachin had his first career ATP win at the 250. But not only did he steal the show with his play, but his dog stole the show, giving Pedro a big kiss right after he won encore. I haven't seen anything like that before. I'm a huge dog. I thought it was awesome.
I know. I know. I mean, forget a girlfriend, forget a wife, forget thanking your family and your coaches and your friends. Grab the dog, thank the dog, show the dog some love. It's because of the dog that he won the event. And so I love it. I mean, he's 28. He just cracked the top 50. That was his first title. And I love that he grabbed the dog and just showed the dog some love. And yeah, he has a new fan in me for that.
How could he lose that match? It's like, okay, you have a bad point, something happened, but then you look over, boys right there, your best friend. You're just like, how could you lose in front of your dog? So it's one of those things. It was really cool to see. I'm sure he enjoyed it. Had to be a big moment for him. Where everybody's kind of making a joke about it. At least them in the sense tongue kissing or showing each other love on set after.
It was a bit like slobbery. I saw that.
A bit slobbery, but it was no. So I'm sure he would do it the exact same way if he could. So, congratulations to him. Really good clay player. And like we said, kind of something kind of surprising that it took this long or that he didn't win one yet. So good to see. And then obviously we saw Rublev with another big win, continue a very nice streak or a good season, beating Ruud in 2 sets actually, and actually bageled him in the second set, which you don't normally see. First set was a tiebreak. Second set, he bageled him. But Rublev, I know that's your guy. So just
I know.
Expect from coming up here soon.
I know. I was going to say, as you know, he's one of my favorite players on tour. He was always my favorite interview. He's so humble and funny and just honest. And I always love that about him. But I also love his game. He's got that killer forehand. And, he was the king of the 500s for a long time. And he just won this 250. But earlier this year, he also won the Monte Carlo 1000. So it's really good to see him have a successful weekend. And I think it definitely is looking good for him as he kind of starts this U.S. swing.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's one of those guys in that top tier of players where maybe not Carlos or Djokovic, but he's right there. He's always in it. He's usually making a deep run. Very surprising if he's not. But I think he's had a very competitive year, has looked really good. Like you said, has some personality. We saw it in Wimbledon how fired up he got when he played Bublik, went to 5 sets. He didn't have one break point, still went to 5 sets because of the tie breaks. But then he hits that spectacular shot where Bublik just stopped. And I mean, there's probably one of the shots of all time, if not definitely this year. So Rublev, the one thing he hasn't reached that, and he talked about it too after his match this past weekend against Ruud. He spoke about how Ruud's been to 2 or 3 Grand Slam finals, and Rublev hasn't gotten there yet. Could we see a deep run in the U.S. Open or coming up this next year, Australian Open? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly hope so. I think a lot of it kind of depends on the draws that he's dealt at these tournaments. But I got to bring up, like, how great was it to have Casper Ruud versus Andre Rublev in a 250 finals? Like, that very well, we're talking about it, that very well could have been a Grand Slam final. And this is a 250 in Bastad. And I think that is just a really great final. And I kind of really, really like this matchup. I like the two of them. I think they're kind of funny together, like some post-match banter that they had, joking around and stuff. And I really like that matchup. And it could happen next week, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Or this week, yeah.
Actually, at the German Open, they're on opposite sides of the draw. Obviously, I think the 1 and 2 seed. So we could have another rematch, which is great for tennis.
Yeah, but another thing that you and I were kind of talking about earlier was how the women don't allow those top players to play in the 250s. We were talking about how, I think it's a disservice to women's tennis. Like, look at the amount of fans and people in these cities that want to come out and watch Casper Ruud and Andre in the finals. And like, you want those big name players. Like, yes, you do want to give an opportunity to the lower ranked players. I'm all for that. But you want those big name players in those tournaments as well.
No, I mean, we were both at sometime right after Indian Wells for a day or two at the Arizona Phoenix Open. And Berrettini, Schwartzman, and the guys wanted to keep playing before the Miami Open. So they bounced right from Indian Wells in California to a 4-hour drive, keep playing tennis at a beautiful facility, and then went right down to Miami and kept playing at the Miami.
Yeah. That was literally like probably the best challenger. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly. So most challengers aren't, top notch with the electric line calling. But they're starting to improve. Newport this past weekend looked really nice. I was not there, but Tommy Paul was there, Isner. We saw Michelsen, McDonald, a lot of major American players. Manarino ended up winning it, 35th ranked player in the world right now. So they're getting more exciting. I think it's great for tennis. Like you said, I think the women in the WTA it would make sense if they move more
Yeah.
there, bigger name players that want to keep playing and just at different events. It's got to bring in more revenue. I think it just helps everybody.
Yeah, totally agree with you on that.
Speaking about the WTA, some really big news. Simona Halep, I know you could say some are fan favorites for some, not for others. But really exciting player, great for the game. A dominant player, won a Grand Slam in 18 and 19. Last played at the U.S. Open in October, was then suspended, but she just put her name in back for the draw for the U.S. Open. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, totally. I mean, as we know, she's provisionally suspended, and her last match was at the U.S. Open, and I believe she lost first round. And I know that's probably been weighing on her. Like that was her last match, and she's been gone for a year. I mean, that's got to be tough. And so it's really good to hear that she's back playing in the US Open. I really like her. I actually gave her a ride once at Indian Wells and we were talking a bunch. She was telling me all about Romania and I asked her like kind of like what do you love most, and she told me that she loved the chocolate and she loved the city and the nightlife, and it's just an amazing place. So I really like her, and I would love to see her just come out just like with a chip on her shoulder and just going forward at the U.S. Open, and she could walk away with the title. I mean, her game's one of the best.
Yeah, nobody in that draw wants to see her, even though she hasn't played in a year. There's
Yeah.
in that draw that wants to see her up against, in round one or two. Is Halep, obviously, you had that experience. It probably wasn't the longest experience, but is she as intense, off court as she's on?
I think it took like a little bit of warming up. Like I asked her about Romania, and I think that made her happy, and that made her like want to talk about it. So she's not like, once you get to talk to her and get her talking about something she's excited about, she's so friendly and very, very sweet. Yeah.
And it's one of those situations where some of these players are so intense and they just always going. Like, I mean, just coming to mind, Simona Halep, who we're speaking about, and then Sabalenka. Like, I think about those two. It's like, not that I would ever be in a fight with them. Why would I? It would make no sense. But those are two women that would, like, I would be scared. I'd be scared.
Oh, they would kick your for sure.
And Halep, not only like if it was both of them, but just one on one, like I'd be in trouble. Like I'd be
You're
scared.
toast.
No doubt. You see, like, yeah, I want no part of that. Absolutely. So trying to stay on that good side. If they're watching it, they're definitely not, but you never know one day. Yeah, I love you guys. Love you both. So rooting for both you guys. And moving on to the ATP side of things, still discussing suspensions. Last week we spoke about Jensen Brooksby. We just spoke about Simona Halep in the WTA. Another big name that got suspended was Michael Ymer, who is currently top 50 in the world, rather than that 50-51 borderline, but having a really good year. He just beat Fritz in Wimbledon, had a big comeback, was down 2 sets, ended up winning 3 straight. Another guy who has all the talent in the world. He has 2 brothers on tour. So obviously this probably came at the worst timing for him.
It really is just getting out of control here. Like, Ymer released his second statement, and he was just saying like the kind of situation where, he wasn't at the hotel for the last 5 minutes of the hour slot, or he didn't submit something with the hotel, and there was just kind of no way of knowing. And like the leniency is just, there's none. I mean, for me, I'm like, can you just find the guys and then make them take a test like the next day or something? There's got to be another option for this because it's ridiculous. 18 months, that is so long for him. Like he's at the prime of his career, and for him to have to pause for 18 months makes no sense. And I don't think he deserves that.
Definitely. And it's tough. Like I said, he has his 2 brothers on tour, and they as long as they're playing in the same tournament, they travel everywhere together. I saw them at Indian Wells when they were kind of off the complex, all hanging out, grabbing dinner together. Them, their coach, both the brothers. We interviewed him with Cracked Racquets at the Arizona Open, and nicest kid in the world, super soft spoken. It was a great interview, actually. All had some charisma. Was speaking the game of tennis. Just a really nice kid all the way around. So, like you said, 18 months is a long time, and kind of the peak. I don't want to say the peak because I'm sure he's hoping his peak will go even higher. But at a very important part of his career where he's getting near that peak that he would hope for, just not ideal at all.
Yeah, I mean, I really wish there was a different protocol or that there was just some flexibility or leniency in this because, it just really isn't fun to see these players sit out and like, Ymer said. He's like, if you tested me now, I'm negative. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, 18 months, really long time. Not ideal. Getting into a little bit of better news, a better spotlight headline for tennis, an event that was this past weekend, the UTS Ultimate Tennis Showdown. Rachel was there, so she could give us the full rundown of what was going on. In the quick version, it kind of seemed like if somebody made tennis today and it wasn't a thing now and made it for the first time, it seems like it would be this event.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I was lucky enough to be there the whole time and be involved in the event, and it was so much fun. Like the format is just insane. It's like, so there are 6 matches a day. There's 4 quarters, 8-minute quarters. There's only one serve. And then there's also a bonus 3-point card where like at any point during a quarter, a player could say like, I'm going to use my bonus card. And then that next point, if they win it, counts for 3. And it was so exciting. There's no rules. Players could smack their rackets. They could trash talk. They can do anything they want. They can engage the crowd and the fans. There's a DJ playing nonstop. It was really like an NBA game. In fact, the DJ, I think it was the DJ at the Clippers game. And he was just playing nonstop. The environment was insane. Like all the fans, like I've never seen a tennis match or tournament where like every fan was engaged the entire time. And these 8 guys were hilarious. Like it was so much fun to see their personalities like come through and them just be funny and joke around on the court and really kind of like lean into it. At first, like that first match, they were all kind of getting used to it. And then they're like, oh, let's do it. And then they were just like kind of going crazy. You saw Benoit climb up on the umpire chair. You saw, Ben trash talking and like Foe just all over the place. And it was just so much fun to see that. And it was such a great event.
Yeah, they had some really big names too. So it's something where it's like, okay, if some of the top players weren't sold on the event and didn't want this new kind of modern version of tennis, they wouldn't play in it. But these guys seem amped about it. Bublik, like you said, Bublik, Tiafo, Fritz, some really big names seem to be enjoying it. Good for the crowd, good for the game. They seem like they really like it. Something that stood out to me, I saw some amazing shots. So for those who don't know, usually they play on a doubles court or a full tennis court, has doubles and singles. For the Ultimate Tennis Showdown, they only play on singles. So usually a little picture, I'm going to draw up my hand. Usually the
net post.
Yeah, excuse me, the net post goes all the way far, even past the singles court. But without this for the UTSA, and we'll throw some different clips on of some amazing shots this past weekend. These guys were shooting it or hitting it around the net. It was awesome. Good to see. Good for the game. Is there more events coming up like this?
Yeah, there are 3 more this year. There's one in Frankfurt in September. There's one in Asia and then one in the Middle East. So there's 3 more events this year. And then I think they're planning a bunch for next year. And I certainly hope they do because it was unbelievable. And like, I mean, I had a blast the entire time. Like every point was exciting.
Yeah, I like in the sense, I didn't even know where they're doing it all over. So it's not just United States.
Yeah, no, it's global. Yeah.
Of a lax country in some sense. Tennis-wise too, but also that they're doing it all over. It's great for the game. It reminds me a little bit of like the ATP Next Gen, just like the more kind of where that changing up a little bit, but even this is now obviously some huge changes, but exciting. And a lot of them seem to be working where, I don't know if they take every change and put it to the ATP. Obviously, it would have to be slowly over time. I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
No, but you know what I did hear a lot of is if there was a live in tennis, like live golf, this would be it. This would be the format because it is so fan friendly and so engaging and interactive. So,
and you never know. Those Saudis come over with some money. I mean, you just saw, at least Kylian Mbappe getting into soccer now. Overserved, we do it all.
I know.
Mbappe, he just got offered $1 million deal. Well, excuse me, $1 billion deal, 1.1 billion a year over in Saudi. So you could see them, Saudi, who owns Live, you could see them at some point coming over doing the same thing. And they want to get paid, so it'll be really interesting.
I'm going to tell you right now, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. And it'll be really interesting to see how these next few years go for sure.
You guys heard it first. Rachel has inside sources. Saudis are coming over. They're starting to live tennis. I'm about it. Let's make it a little bit more exciting, some more drama. I'm excited. And now we have to speak about one of the guys who was at the UTS. He wasn't playing in it, but he was coaching Tiafo. Nick Kyrgios. He's been in the headlines this week for an unreal tattoo back piece, all Pokemon. He posted some pictures on Instagram. There was like six, seven different artists working on him around the table. I don't have any tattoos. It looked sick. Did not look in the sense fun though. Or it looked pretty painful.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have said before that I think Nick is one of the most fashionable guys on tour. I've even gone as far as to say it's one of the most, like, he is the most stylish guy on tour. And, I feel like if I was with a guy or like saw a guy like take his shirt off and like saw this huge like Pokemon tattoo on his back, I would be really concerned. Like, I would have a lot of questions. So, I'm really not sure, but like about the tat. But as long as he's happy, I'm happy for him. So, it's great.
In the sense for it being like a Pokemon and more of like a, just a different tattoo definitely out there. It looked pretty bad. Like as badass as a Pokemon tattoo could look, it looked that badass. I could see it now. I put it in one of our Instagram comments. Nick Kyrgios taking a shirt off at the U.S. Open, holding
Yeah.
it up the U.S. Open trophy, or that Wimbledon next year, and he just has a Pokemon tattoo in the back.
Yeah, whatever makes him happy. That's
No,
for sure.
exactly. Whatever gets him in a good mood and on the court, we love that. We want it. So Kyrgios, keep getting some Pokemon tattoos. Hoping to see him in the open and on the court soon. And kind of, guys, to end the episode, something we want to do a little bit different, not get to stray away from tennis too much, but just so you kind of get to know your host a little bit better. We kind of just wanted to go over a little quick background or some stuff that's been going on in our lives, or our backgrounds, where we come from in the last year and a half. So starting me personally, name's Joe Pucciarelli, go by Pooch. I was coaching college football in South Florida, Florida Atlantic, worked for Lane Kiffin. Willie Taggart, thought I'd be coaching college football forever. Did not think I'd be speaking tennis here with Rachel, but I'm loving it. Went on a reality TV show last year, Big Brother, that was kind of out of nowhere. It's starting again, coming up here soon, which will be really cool. But yeah, I've been all over the place. I kind of love it. Sports is kind of my background. I love sports, anything from tennis, hockey, baseball. Love it, watch it all. Happen to be doing tennis right now, which I love, but kind of been all over the place. A little bit of my background, love what I'm doing. Excited to see where everything takes me. And now, Rachel.
Yeah, totally. And I guess if I had to point out, I know you asked me earlier, like one of my favorite times in this past year professionally. I was really thinking about it, and a moment in time stuck out to me, and it was about 2 weeks in the fall where I went to Paris for the Rolex Paris Masters, and then immediately to San Antonio. And just those 2 weeks were so much fun and such a grind. Going to Paris in the fall is amazing, and that tournament is just unreal. It's aesthetically just, I loved it. Dressing up every day and going indoors for a tournament it was very intimate, the court and everything. I loved that, and then I immediately went home and then went to San Antonio and was just so jet lagged. But I had so much just excitement to host the All American Cup, and which was also its inaugural year. And that was my first time that I was in a stadium filled with people and doing on-court interviews. And I was really, really nervous, but who really helped me was the Bryan brothers' father, Wayne. And he gave me like just so much good advice. He would tell me so many great things where it ended up being just such a great experience for me. So those 2 weeks last year and late last year were definitely probably my most memorable professional moment in this past year.
Nice. So we're hoping to have moments. I don't know, both of us in different ways, hoping to do great with this podcast. Hope you guys are enjoying it. This was episode 4. Going to be back next week. A lot going on, like we said. So guys, episode 4 overserved. Thank you guys for listening. See you next week.
See you guys.